My name is Monica Gaughan, and I'm an associate professor in the School of Human Evolution and Social Change. I'm a social scientist, which means I'm interested in human behavior, and I'm interested in the institutions in which human behavior occurs. And so to that end, I actually have a very specialized study population, and it is Homo sapiens with earned PhDs. Many people have asked me, why would anybody care about what Homo sapiens with PhDs are doing? These are already very privileged people. They're highly educated. They tend to have enormous respect and power in their societies wherever they occur. And so why would I want to look at that? And the reason why is because I'm fascinated by processes of social stratification and the ways in which institutions structure opportunities and barriers for success. So simply put, like other members of our species, we belong to groups of people and institutions that systematically stratify the opportunity structures so that we end up seeing pretty gross differences on the basis of things that really shouldn't have anything to do with doing science, like gender or race and ethnicity or religion or where somebody is from. All of these are things that we know affect the ability for professors to be successful. And so for the last 20 years, that's what my research program has been about. So then the question is, why would anybody care about this? Why am I excited here at ASU? Well, because I'm interested in these institutional structures, Advance provides an amazing opportunity not only to see how can we engage in systems design to make sure that ASU is the most amazing place to be a professor, irrespective of where you're coming from, and also to learn some more about how professors and scientists are working in these really new and exciting interdisciplinary structures that we're trying to do here at ASU in particular, but also science in general, okay? So I'm gonna do a little bit of history. Remember that the university, which is one of the most amazing accomplishments in the past 1,000 years of humankind, was built to be an exclusionary institution. It was built to deal with the overflow of extra noble sons who were a threat to their older brothers who were supposed to become the king, the prince, or whatever. And so for the first almost 900 years of university history, if you were not male, if you were not a member of the nobility, if you were not Catholic, at least in the European setting, you were not going to go to university. And so I challenge people to think, how many people do you know, including yourself, would have met those criteria to be able to go to a university, let alone work in a university 1,000 years ago? So I want to fast forward to the Enlightenment. What an amazing idea that was. The idea said, we don't want kings in charge of this. We don't want nobles in charge of this. What we want are constitutions. We want systems of laws that very clearly articulate who wins and who loses and what are the criteria we use for making those decisions. Now, of course, in the 17th and 18th century, when all of this was flourishing, the idea was that, again, more people would get access to these institutions. So for example, in the United States, Harvard began to open up its doors to Protestants, but they were still men, and they were still white, and they were still members of the land-owning privileged class. So what's happened since the birth of our nation, at least, is this rapid expansion of other people, members of other groups saying, I want that too. I want to go to Harvard too. Okay? And so that's what's happened over a very long period of time, is this systematic broadening of who gets to even be part of universities, who gets to be a student, who gets to be a professor at a university. And so the 20th century was very much a time of saying, yes, women get to go to universities, and Jews get to go to universities, and African Americans get to go to universities, and Native Americans get to go to universities, and all of these different populations that had been excluded from university education and hence from ever becoming a professor started coming into universities. And we began to realize, oh my goodness, we don't know as an institution, as an educational institution, how do we even serve these populations? And so one of the things that attracts me to ASU as a professor is, number one, we know that that's a problem, and number two, we are seriously committed to diversity and inclusion among our students. And so the opportunity that ASU presents here with our advanced project right now is, What would diversity and inclusion look like at the higher ranks of the university for our professors, our lecturers, our administrators, the people who are making the decisions here at ASU, the people who are forwarding the mission of this institution, which is a knowledge institution. But it's a knowledge institution which still can be traced back to that original set of exclusionary practices. So what are the rules of the game here at ASU, and what rules need to be evaluated and changed to make sure that this is a fair environment for everyone, where we can all agree that we know what the rules of the game are, and so that we can begin seeing some outcomes like having the entire institution from top to bottom be one that reflects the incredible diversity of people, not only in American society, but in Arizona society, and people who are already here at ASU. We're diverse, but we're diverse at the lowest levels of our institution, and Advance gives us an opportunity to make diversity and inclusion a reality for every part of the institution. So, with that little mini lecture in mind, I would like to invite you to participate. My role on the project is as a co-principal investigator, and what I am trying to do is to study some of the problems that we don't know the answers to. And that's not just at ASU, that's everywhere. What does it mean to be a scientist, and in particular a professor, in this rapidly globalizing, interdisciplinary world where the speed of science is hard to even keep up with? What do we need to be successful, no matter who we are? And then, as we're being successful, are we making sure that everybody, every Homo sapien with an earned PhD who has had the great benefit to be able to be hired by this institution, do all of us have the resources that we need to be maximally effective in this rapidly changing environment so that we can serve our communities, we can serve our students more effectively, and we can do better science?